Hey guys, it's Trevor again. So a few weeks back I got this comment on one of my videos. It just read, "Roast my Nurgle Army please?" I was intrigued. The commenter, a man who goes by the name of Shaded Reaver, went on to tell me that the army is supposed to look like garbage intentionally. He also told me that the army has been made from recycled sprues dissolved in acetone. I was even more intrigued, so I asked him to send me some pictures. And hot damn, those pictures did not disappoint. Which is why today we're going to be looking at Shaded Reaver's custom Nurgle Army, and we're gonna go through which are my favorites and which I don't like so much. But Trevor, how are we gonna assess which are the best models, you might ask? Well, we were told that this army is supposed to look like garbage, and more importantly, it's supposed to look like intentional garbage. So for me to say that one model in this army looks better than the rest, it has to firstly look bad, and it also has to look like Shaded Reaver meant it to look bad. Tricky. Allow me to give you some examples. Now, in my opinion, Logan Grimnar on his Storm Rider looks f***ing stupid. Why? Well, firstly, he's a Space Marine, and you all know how I feel about Space Marines. But more importantly, the man just looks like f***ing Viking Santa Claus. Like, come on, the wolves aren't even pulling in the same direction. But was he intended to look stupid? Based on his heroic pose, the fact that the Space Wolves are one of those factions where you feel like they kind of take themselves way too seriously, and the fact that his name is f***ing Logan Grimnar, I'm gonna say no. Now compare that instead to the Jokero Weaponsmith. That's right, your eyes do not deceive you, this is a f***ing monkey with robotic hands and feet. And apparently he's supposed to be the one repairing your equipment and weapons. So for this model, it's obviously a joke, right? It's playing on the phrase Grease Monkey. It's supposed to look intentionally stupid. So in this particular situation where we're looking for intentionally garbage looking models, I would rate the Jokero Weaponsmith higher than Logan Grimnar. So anyway, after having had a look through Shaded Reaver's Nurgle Army, I've classified them into 5 different ascending tiers. Going from my least favorite to my most favorite, we have the Participation tier, the Bronze tier, the Silver tier, the Gold tier, and there is one model in this army that I feel really embodies the theme of intentional garbage, and that model will be receiving the Trevor's Choice Award, which is actually a very apt name for an award because I'm probably only good for judging garbage, alas. But before we get into all of that, I'd just like to tell you all about my Patreon page. Oh boy, can't you feel the excitement in the air? So I'll be posting outtakes, work in progress shots, and most importantly of all, you can get access to my Discord server and come and chat with me, cause don't I look like such a not annoying person to talk to? It's patreon.com/TrevorGoesMeep. The link will be in the description down below. Alright, so let's look at some tasty models. We're gonna be starting with my least favorite models in this army that I've put in the participation category. First up, we have a Demon Prince. Now, right off the bat, I can tell you that the fact that I can immediately recognize it as a Demon Prince is kind of a red flag. Like, sure, his armor looks a bit fucked up, and his fingers are a little wonky, and his sword is clearly a prop from Sesame Street. But on the whole, there are a few really nice details about this model, which is extremely disappointing. Like, he's got this cool chain belt, he's got gross green warts growing on his arm, he's crying blood, and even his Nurgle sorority house symbol is looking pretty well painted. Honestly, if this thing was on the table and I was like a little far away from it, I might mistake it for an official GW model. And so with this model, I see really minimal effort put into making it look like garbage, so I'm gonna have to score this a 1 out of 10 and put it firmly in the participation category. Also in the participation category, we have a Great Unclean One. Similar to the Demon Prince we saw, this model suffers from having too many nice details. He's got this cool flail, he's got some skull sticking out of his head, he's got this big gash on his stomach that's leaking blood. It all just looks too good. Yes, he does basically look like a giant blob, but so does the official Great Unclean One model. That being said, I do have to give some credit for the cloth over his face. It's like Shaded Reaver was like sculpting the face halfway and then he was like, fuck it, I can't do this, I'm just gonna cover the fucking thing with a cloth. That in itself is quite clever because it not only looks kind of stupid, it also makes you wonder what's under the cloth that he's hiding that could potentially look even more stupid, even though we never get to see it. It's layers of potential stupidity, which I think think it's pretty clever and plays quite well into the theme of being intentionally garbage. But the truth of the matter is, just like the Demon Prince we saw earlier, if you put this thing far enough away from me, I might mistake it for an actual Great Unclean One. So I cannot in good conscience say that this looks like it is fully intentionally garbage, so I have to give it the low score of 3 out of 10. Alright, so let's move on to the bronze category. First up, we have what I can only assume is a soul grinder, and the fact that I have to assume it is already a good sign for us. Now, this soul grinder has clearly been made from a fusion of melted down sprues and actual spare parts. The spare parts do look pretty good, which is in this case not a good thing, but I've gotta give huge props for the face design. I really like what Shaded Reaver has done here by going for a really like shitty looking vomiting frog. It's like Kermit the Frog meets Terminator. And in this case, him having such a cool looking left arm but such a shitty looking badly molded right arm really works to make this look like intentional garbage. It's like a really intense juxtaposition of form, a dichotomy of garbage, if you will. So you know what? I can kinda dig it. I'm gonna give this model a 5 out of 10. Also in the bronze category, we have this thing. Now, I'm not 100% sure what this is, but I think it's like a Beast of Nurgle thing? I'm not sure. It's pretty badly molded, and that is a great thing. I'm really digging his right hand, which is kind of like this deformed hoof. He's like a little melted horse, like clop, clop, clop. And even better, he doesn't have a left hand. The design process must have been like, ooh, okay, I'm done with that right hand. I think that looks great. But can I really afford to put so much time and effort into making another hand, especially after the intense time and effort that went into making the right hand? I also like his really awful purple dreadlocks and the general amorphous shape of his body as well. But sadly, I really feel like the face is holding back this model from garbage greatness. All this stuff coming out of the model's left eye looks actually really gross and disturbing, and it's a really cool detail, so I've got to mark it down for that. And if you look into his mouth, you can see that some effort actually went into sculpting the teeth nicely. With all these details included, the model comes off as looking okay, but some effort has clearly gone into making this look like trash, so we're gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10. Alright, now we're in the silver category and things are finally starting to get good. Our first model in this category is another Beast of Nurgle, but this model takes all the things I liked about the previous model and doesn't include any of the things I didn't like. He's still got the weird horse hands, he's got the shitty purple dreadlocks, but this time his face also looks awful. A lot of that has to do, I think, with the eye. Shaded Reaver has chosen to give him a very small pupil and a very large eye. Added to that, this nice crease in the eyelid makes the eye look a little bit squinted, which gives the face a very determined, heroic kind of look. Add a tongue and a mouth with no teeth into the equation, and you get a face that says, I'm gonna lick you whether you like it or not. I also like these open wounds because unlike the wound on the Great Unclean One we saw earlier, these just kind of look like ketchup spewing out of this guy. So yes, this model is an easy 6 out of 10. Next up, we have another Beast of Nurgle. And this one is, in my opinion, the best of the 3 Beasts of Nurgle we've seen so far. So again, we've got the shitty horse hands, but this time they have a clear division down the center, so they're like a combination of horse and crab. Also, Shaded Reaver's really taken these shitty purple dreadlocks to a new level by splaying them outwards into what is either a mad scientist hairstyle or a peacock fan. And these eyes, they are just... oh, they are beautiful. They have this kind of really intense, shocked, like in pain kind of stare. So the whole model looks like it's reaching out for you and going, save me from my misery, please. Also, these little dollops of red and green make him look like he's covered in fast food condiments. So I am living for it, and this model easily gets a 7 out of 10. Alright, so we're done with the participation category, we're done with the bronze, we're done with the silver. Let's move on to the real cream of the crop here, the gold category. In this category, we have a pile of amazing Nurglings. Now, when I showed this picture to my girlfriend Kara, she immediately started laughing. I personally think it's fantastic. I really like how there has been no effort put in to make sure the Nurglings are of a similar shape and size. They all just kind of like doing their own thing. Some of them have 2 horns, some of them have 1 horn. And look, he didn't even give them arms. He fucking painted on the hands. That is amazing. Also, the facial expressions on these guys are fantastic. They're like, what? 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 Hey bro, this model is an easy 8 out of 10. This is the sort of thing I would expect if someone told me their army was intentionally made to look like garbage, and I'm so happy I've seen this. Okay, so those Nurglings were funny and all, but now we're gonna be looking at some real heavy hitters. Next up, we have what I believe are the second best entry in this entire thing, and they are... Well, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't actually sure what they were when I first looked at them, but after staring at them for a while and seeing the doom of art and civilization in their eyes, I've come to the conclusion that these have to be chaos possessed. The only reason I was able to divine this fact is because of the wings on their backs. I mean, I guess they could be sanguinary guard as well, but this is supposed to be a Nurgle army, so I'm gonna say that's unlikely. Okay, so chaos possessed. Like seriously, what the fuck possessed you guys? Mashed potatoes? I particularly like this guy because it looks like his face was made by a child just kind of poking the 2 eyes and then drawing a smile underneath. Now these are absolutely fabulous, and I really like the fact that no hands were given to these guys. Like, just look at this guy over here. He looks so angry, but then he's gonna run at you and he's gonna go like... Oh man, and if you thought they looked bad in grey, just check out these bad boys when they're painted. Like this guy over here, his face has been painted so sad, and with his arms just kind of stretched out in front of him, he's like, bro, I didn't ask to be made like this. Please help me. I think there's no doubt in my mind and in the minds of anybody watching this video that these models deserve a 9 out of 10. As stupid as they look, however, there was one model that I felt looked even worse. A model that I gave a perfect 10 out of 10. So before I reveal to you what that model is, if you enjoyed watching this video, please drop a like. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. And if you really want to support my channel, please head on down to patreon.com/TrevorGoesMeep. Alright, enough with the self-promotion. I give you the recipient of the Trevor's Choice Award, the single stupidest looking model in this army, and a model that Shaded Reavers should be proud of building. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Shaded Reavers Soul Grinder. How do you describe perfection? Everything about this model just screams, please let me be trampled by wild goats and my remains cremated and turned into fertilizer for a cactus farm. I love that his armor plates are disguising legs that are clearly buckling under the weight of the sheer garbageness of this model, and the posing is just phenomenal. He's got his arms at his side and he's looking up towards the heavens, cackling as he shouts, Leonardo da Vinci, I am the pinnacle of art. His face is absolutely stunning. He looks like Mike Wazowski but born of incest. All his teeth are different shapes and sizes, and this ring of red around his eye is just a master touch. It really lends a demented look to this guy, and I am living for it. I also think the arms are phenomenal. On the right side you have this appendage that has no distinction between hand and forearm, like he just hates wrists, and on the left side you have this like Bob the Builder looking knockoff Terminator arm. Overall, a phenomenal job on this model, a perfect 10 out of 10. Now this is intentional garbage. And with that, I do believe we're done. Thank you to Shaded Reaver for asking me to roast his army. And if you want to see more of his stuff, please check out his YouTube channel. I will put a link in the description down below. I hope you had fun, because I definitely did, and I'll see you all next time.